Teachers' unions such as NAPTOSA are calling for schools to return to full-time learning in 2022. The Department of Basic Education last week announced that a staggered calendar would be followed this year. Pupils in inland provinces of Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, Limpopo and the North West will be the first to go back to school on Wednesday, the 12th of January, while learners in coastal provinces of KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Western Cape and Northern Cape will return a week later on the 19th. To take this discussion further, when I joined via Zoom by the spokesperson for Gauteng Education, that's Mr. Steve Mabona. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News. As always, we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Well, there's generally hiccups, when it comes to registration processes, placement issues, which then unfortunately leads to some hiccups when schools open for the year. Can we safely say that all of that has been addressed and resolved as, we're a few days from going back to school?
No, Florence, we can actually confirm that we still have about 1,400 applicants which we are finalizing to place. We have already indicated that over 240 million rand that has been allocated to schools that will be building classrooms, and we've all as well have availed the mobile units, which will be in the interim assisting us to accommodate those that need to be placed. But then in the near future, they will then be taken to the schools that would have built more classes. Yeah. And those that we are finalizing the appeals, we will then be making sure that by Monday we are done with the appeals and announce on how we're going to be moving forward.
What have you found over the years? And I mean, it's been time now that you've been able to pick up what is the actual issue when it comes to placements. I know that at some point there was blame put on parents for registering late or going online late. But what have you picked up as being the issue and being able to resolve what those issues are? Because there will always be parents who apply late, and there will always be the problems that we see every single year. So what are you finding to be the problems, and how are you addressing them? I mean, you're saying to me that there are 1,400 applicants, which is quite a big number of learners that still need to be placed. So maybe you can talk to us through the processes and what you've picked up as being the major obstacle.
Well, the obstacle is a challenge of capacity. We have identified 3 districts where these numbers will be accounted for. Johannesburg Central, in the south of Johannesburg, Gauteng East, we are talking about Ekurhuleni Far East, and Ekurhuleni North, that will be your Olifants, Fontaine, and the part of Tembisa. So that's where we have the challenges. But with the additional mobiles that we're going to avail, we are quite comforted that we're going to be placing all those applicants. But then, like as I've indicated, that in the future, the more classrooms that are going to be built, both in the primary and the high schools, will then be assisting to alleviate that pressure. Because in the primary level, we are going to build just about 229 classes. At high schools, we build in over 270 classrooms, which we feel that they will alleviate that pressure.
Yeah.
But we want to appeal to parents, those that we have already placed, they would have appealed. But we are saying in areas where we are pressured, like Tshwane West, where we don't have enough schools, but then the numbers are very high, we are trying to share schools that are in the neighboring areas, make sure that we place parents there. So we want to accommodate as far as possible, but we cannot because of the capacity challenges that we are facing in that area.
Yeah. Mr. Mabona, okay, you've acknowledged the 1,400 applicants that still then need to be placed. But let's talk about, first day of school, we always experience something going wrong. Those that do experience problems come Wednesday, what contingency plans do you have in place for, I suppose we can even call them the walk-ins. What's the process and what's the plan for those? And especially, taking into account that we're not actually functioning as normal as before. law. You know, there's strict measures relating to COVID-19 and all of that. So we can't have those issues where we could just have, you know, a large group of parents just arriving, you know, at a school, for example. So bearing that in mind, you know, what plans do you then have in place should there be other issues?
Well, our district officials are ready to assist those that will be saying, I went to a school X and I could not be accommodated. I'm talking about the inner grades, you know, the other grades besides grade 1 and 8, because that we do online. We have then decided to open for late registration on Wednesday, the 12th. You know, parents need to go online and apply for late registration. We're not going to avail schools that are full. Only schools that will be available there, it's those that will still have capacity to accommodate. Not all our schools are full. We do still have those that still have space. So when we open on Wednesday, we are sure that parents will be in a position to choose, you know, schools from the system. So they will then be accommodated there. They don't need to go to district offices. They don't need to go to schools. They can just do it online. Only those that are not in a position to, you know, apply for themselves, they can then go to district offices so that they can be assisted there. But yes, we continue with rotation. You know, those that will be expected at school, they will be, you know, accommodated as per the schedule on rotation, and will continue up until you know, minister will then be probably in a position to say we have changed. Like as you've already indicated that some of our stakeholders are demanding that we need all our learners at the goal. We must not forget that COVID-19 is still with us, so we need to continue to observe the necessary protocols and make sure that we, you know, safeguard that people are not ill while they are in our environment. So all those protocols we need to continue and observe.
Yeah, and you know, just finally, Mr. Mabona, as we wrap up our conversation, is the province and schools considering more planning, of course, to return to 100% school capacity? There have been calls by teacher unions such as NAPTOSA for schools to return to full-time learning in 2022. Of course, no doubt this is all also reliant on whether or not, you know, we're still dealing quite heavily with the issue of COVID-19 and you know, everything that we have been dealing with in the past 2 years. So no doubt it is reliant on that. But where are you in terms of being prepared to go back to full capacity?
No, you remember that in the education sector, anything we do, we consult our stakeholders. So the consultation process will continue, and a decision will be taken at the national level, because you know that at the provincial level, we take instruction from national. If they say we are now going back to, you know, all days and accommodating everyone, we will be in a position to do that. But then that decision must be taken by the minister, who will then be guiding the provinces. Yes, indeed. I mean, the minister will always consult all stakeholders in our sector, because you know our sector, if you don't consult, you might not succeed in what you want to implement. We need to go to labor, we need to go to SGB associations, we need to go to all other stakeholders that are related to the education sector for us to succeed in any program that we would launch or anticipate to launch.
All right. Thanks very much for giving us your time, as always. Steve Mabona speaking to us on school readiness.